Hi, thanks for waiting, caller. You wanted to say briefly.
Yes, Phil, I'm a black female and I'm married to a white male. And my in-laws are so prejudiced against me. Now, I just wonder what's going to happen to all these people that are so prejudiced and so hateful towards black folks when they do see a black Jesus, if it is a black Jesus, and what's going to happen to the most of the media that has just been terrible to black media. What are they going to say then?
Yeah. Well, first of all, there's not going to be one decision about what color Jesus may be in your church. This would obviously be something that the church itself, incidentally, many churches have already made this step forward.
That's right.
Not a few are predominantly black churches in urban areas. Hang on a minute, caller, because next to Dr. Felder is Corrine Stewart. You're a real live 15-year-old teenager. Well, we should know how you feel, Mr. Stewart, sir. What are your thoughts about this issue?
Well, I just think that throughout history, our history has been denied. If you look at, we don't have to just look at Jesus. We could go back to Cleopatra when they was played Cleopatra. We didn't see that on television. We saw a white woman as Cleopatra. We saw Moses on television portrayed as a white man.
Yeah.
But this is not something new. This is not something that just jumped out the cracks all of a sudden. We have been discussing this for a while.
What inspires you, Corrine? Obviously, you've done your own scholarship on this. At age 15, you were raised in a Christian church, huh?
Yes.
Did you sing in the choir? I mean, were you there every Sunday? Now, don't lie to us.
I sang in the choir. My mother had me to come.
I bet she did. Yeah. Well, are you still singing in the choir, Corrine? This is none of our business, so you want to take the fifth. Go ahead.
I can't. I tell you, I don't sing in the choir because I can't sing.
Another stereotype down the drain.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Very good point. And you're probably not too good with a three-point basketball shot either. So let's put down a lot of these stereotypes while we're at it. You were inspired to look into this how, Kareem?
Well, like most children and stuff, I really didn't pay any attention to it. When we walked through the church, Jesus was white, Mary was white, heck, every picture on the wall was white. But then one day I just took a step back and looked and thought about, why is this? Why do we have these images? Where are we? We're not just slaves. We are more than ex-slaves. We're from Africa. We have a very rich heritage. We were the first architects. We built pyramids. We were the first astrologers. So I just took a step back and said, heck, we're not this. We're more than gang members. We're more than killers, basketball players, musicians, entertainers. And I think it's the time. It's the time. It was time 25 years ago when Martin Luther King was assassinated, when Malcolm X was assassinated. I want somebody else to step up to the front plate. It's not, we just shouldn't sit here and just say, oh, well, heck, they let us go to a bathroom. It's time for us to change this.
And we'll be back in just a moment. Glad you called. Caller, you had a brief comment.
Yes, I'm a African-American female who's about to become a mother, and my comment is in reference to the depiction of biblical characters throughout the year. If it wasn't such a big issue, then they would also involve people of color throughout the year.
Right.
I mean, what am I supposed to tell my child when it's born, when it says, Mommy, why isn't there people my color up there?
Yes. You're thinking, Mom. Your wheels are turning. Santa Claus.
I grew up in a household where there was a white Jesus or Caucasian person depicted.
Yes. Yeah.
And you never saw anyone of color. It's like we didn't exist.
Hang on a minute.
Jesus' role was a man of love. What I'm seeing and hearing isn't but sacrilegious.
In other words, Jesus is what color?
Jesus' role was a man who taught love.
What color?
Color has nothing to do with it.
All right, so
in reality, Jesus was bronze.
What do you got?
Okay? But what I'm seeing and hearing is nothing but sacrilegious, destroying of the pictures. It's horrible.
You're not hearing this destroying the pictures here.
If you look in the Bible, it tells you that the first man, Adam, was formed from the dust. Dust is not white. And the Bible says that Jesus is the second man Adam.
All right.
So how
Excuse me.
All right, now we're going to have a lot of biblical stuff from you because I want you to know something. I don't want to get any arguments with you. You wanted to say briefly what, sir?
I want to ask a question, and that is why it is everybody's up in arms about the truth. The truth of the matter that Jesus was not a European Caucasian person. He was a person of color. Now, the white people have determined what color is. If you're not white, then you're black. So that means that Jesus Christ was, of course, Dr. Felder is the leading scholar in this field.
Wendy Reitmeyer is here. You get to talk today, Wendy. You say, among other things, that it shouldn't matter. That's the first thing I think you want to know. What else would you like to share with this audience? May we assume you are a good Christian person?
Yes.
Doesn't have your age here, so I don't know if I'm allowed. You're 28. Kindly tell us what you think.
I really don't think it should matter. I think that if you really believe that it changes how you feel about him, then maybe you should reevaluate your relationship with him. You know, it's either, it doesn't matter if he's black or white, because it's stated again and again and again in the Bible that he walked through all the nations. It didn't matter who they were. He loved them regardless.
Would it upset you if he's portrayed as black?
No.
Wouldn't?
No.
So if that would be the choice of certain congregations and within the Christian tradition, that's okay with you?
Sure.
Well, guess who else is here? My good man, you get the award for humility. You've said nothing here. You've been very, very, we can only assume that you're ready to say something, however. You are the Reverend Dr. F. Brennan Jackson. You are pastor of the Calvary Institutional Missionary Baptist Church in Gary, Indiana. Proud tradition. Here's a church that wasn't formed yesterday. You've been around a while. You then have, I assume, worshiping in your church, people of all ages, but you also have, I would think, a considerable number of seniors who worship in your church who happen to be African American. How am I doing?
Right.
So you have to be sensitive to their feelings.
Right.
And you can't come up in the 11th hour of their life and start tearing down pictures. Do I understand some of the challenges you face with this, or would you want to, or tell us how you feel?
I don't face a challenge, and we don't face a challenge. I've never been under the assumption that God is a man as such. We preach God as a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and truth. He's the God of all mankind, not a certain group of people. And I
bet he's white on the statues of your church.
No.
I bet he's white in the pictures of your church.
No, the picture in the pool depicts him as black, but everybody know that's not Jesus. That's just a picture. Jesus Christ is the Son of the living God.
So that there is
one other thing.
Yeah.
Jesus said in the book of John, other sheep have I that's not of this fold. If a brother just wants to think that Jesus is of color, it's all right. But I haven't heard nothing said here today about salvation. It's all been about color, and that is sacrilegious.
Well, that isn't fair. That isn't fair. Yeah.
Mr. Donald.
Yeah. Wait a minute. You have any idea? I got an hour show, and you come here with 12 books now.
Right. So
we got to do the work of Caesar here now. So don't take me around the world.
No.
That's what you wanted to say.
Here, man. I can't show you.
Well, just make your
I want to challenge them, all of them on your show.
What color was Jesus?
Jesus was black if he lived. He didn't exist. Here is the Pope of Rome praying in his private chapel to the Black Madonna.
The Black Madonna.
That's the private chapel in the Vatican for anyone.
Very well woven into the Polish tradition. Yeah. Our Pope is a Pole. Yeah. And we should not be surprised that the Black Madonna has been worshipped by our Pope.
Oh, yeah.
All right? I got to... Hang on just a minute, boy. I'll tell you, you make me nervous. Now, wait a minute. I don't want you mad at me. Let's take another look at Blair's film here. Now, Jesus, as you saw, it opens with the crucifixion, 3 crosses, and Blair plays the role of the Christ. And now here he is expressing himself in contemporary times. They got this guy locked up real good, scared to death. I mean, we got chains and doors and locks and a lot of frightened white people locking up this man who... in this, as you would accept it in the manner in which Blair has written this, would be a suggestion of the second coming, and he's got some of the brothers shook. Watch this.
what, no nigger? Blackness is far more than perception, Andre. Blackness is also that which is inherited through ancestral lineage. It's irrelevant whether my skin color is light or dark. I am black because black ancestral blood flows through my veins. If the roots of the tree are black, then the fruit must be black. Ain't it the master with the blonde hair and blue eyes, just as you know him to be? You must understand, my friend, that my Father created me from all people, for all people. But you see, I am what I am.
All right, Blair. What would you want to add to that scene?
I'd like to say it's important to note that in the film, he's not in prison only by white people. In the film, it goes both ways. You have good and bad on both sides. And that actor, by the way, is Ben Brown in that scene.
Well done, Brother Dan. Take you back.
But I think what I was saying before manifests itself in that scene. It's important to say this man was a man of color. It's important, and we're talking about, and I agree with you, sir, God is a spirit, but we are talking about this human being that walked the earth. And for you, sir, here, right here, Christianity, if you want to remove that aside, that's fine. This film is from a Christian standpoint. I'm not getting into your beliefs if you don't believe in Christ or, no, gentlemen here. And
he had to be. Let the Reverend make his point, sir.
He had an earthly mother and a heavenly father.
Yes, sir.
God, the Catholic Church, called in 325, called the First Church Council. And they sit there and debated for 320-some years who Jesus is. And they finally came out saying he's part human and divine. Now, it's not the human expression of Jesus.
So it's fully human and fully divine.
Yes.
If he was a human, he had to have...
There's a big difference in part and fully.
He was divine, who for 33 years expressed himself in a human form.
And in human form.
Yeah, you know, you got me to contend with here, too.
You that we saw.
Yeah, what we see. Yes.
Was given to us that we would be able to withstand these kind of things. And as far as the church being in trouble over what's being exposed here now, the church has always been in trouble. The church was born in trouble.
Yes.
So this will not make a difference. And if these brothers want to believe, and brothers want to believe, if this will help brothers to believe Jesus is of color,
that's
right
okay
on.
with you.
Right.
Karine, you wanted to say it. I have to break here. Sir.
This is very nice to know. If he says he's a human being, if he's a human being, he has to have a color. Have any of you seen a human being walk around with green, purple, blue, orange, yellow?
But it
He
also
had a
says
color.
in the Bible that he is all and he is in all, regardless.
I don't think nobody...
Yes.
We'll be back in just a moment.
With anybody saying that Jesus, the color of Jesus do not matter, especially when you're looking at a people that has been demoralized, degraded by using the Jesus concept as white. And that's something we have to really look at.
I think so, too. Yes, ma'am, you wanted to say.
I just want to take
You'll
issue.
take the mic, please?
Yes.
Take issue, please.
I just want to find out, why is it that we have a problem with Jesus being black? Why is there a problem? I mean, why is it okay for him to be white? All these years he has been...
Why isn't it okay for him to be white if he is?
Because we have learned from we were born that the image of this man has been white. Why can't we put a black image in there now?
Did you want to
It's awful.
kindly give the mic? You'll stand, please?
So,
Yes.
No, the only thing that I think that needs to be brought out here is that the issues are being confused. There's a spiritual aspect of Jesus. We all love him. He's in our hearts. He's in our soul. He lives.
Right.
Okay, but there's a human aspect, and I think that that's what has to be addressed. You're mixing the issues, and that's why you said that everything was sacrilegious, this, that, and the other thing. I understand your point, but the issue is human, not spiritual.
No, it's not.
It's easy for anybody to say things.
Somebody hasn't had a chance. Please, come on.
Give
the young man right
They
there.
had a black Judas. Nobody said anything.
Yes, we did. Yes, sir. You wanted to say.
Yes, I basically am not concerned about how white folks view Jesus Christ. My concern is about black people.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say this is because if you examine all civilizations, they had an image, the gods were in their image, right? And we have to understand that we as black people are a dominated people. And as a result of that, our oppressors are going to put their gods and their beliefs on us, right? And as a result of that, that is the reason why you find that our kids, our young children growing up, cannot project themselves or see themselves into anything substantial in life.
Your point is made.
All right.
I thank you. Corrine Stewart are you Corine's mother?
Yes.
You are. Well, you raised this young man to do a lot of thinking by the time he was 15 years old. His own presentation here about the importance of the ethnicity of Jesus is very, very compelling and shows a lot of hard work on his part. And you wanted to say?
I just wanted to say, when Corrine and I pray, we don't pray because Jesus is black or white. What Corrine is trying to portray to you is that as a human being, the way he's depicted, it has an effect on our black people. As young people, when they look up, they want to see someone that they can say that did something in their life. And Corrine looked, he said, well, Mom, why do we have white Jesus? Was Jesus white? I said, no, he wasn't white. The Bible depicts him as a man of color. I said, but from the European aspect, this is the way they portrayed him, because how would it look for enslaved days to have a white or a black Jesus as a savior?
Yeah, yes. Are you there, caller?
Pretty good to me.
Yeah. Are you there, caller?
Yes, I am.
You wanted to say?
I wanted to say I don't think it makes any difference, white or black. If Jesus, in effect, was black, well, then should the white children not have somebody to look up to, as they're claiming that the black children do? What is the difference?
Y'all done had something to look up for years and years and years.
This young woman wanted to say.
I don't know what color Jesus was. But I'm moved by Blair Underwood's film and impressed with it. And Corrine, I hope to raise my child as Corrine mom has raised Corrine, just to think about how we are in society and what color. I don't know if it matters. I don't know if Jesus was white or black, but it's okay. And
we'll be back in just a moment. One of Dr. Felder's works is Troubling Biblical Waters.
Excellent.
Here is a look at the Bible, its scholarship, its history. Oh, I'll tell you, they never call you chicken. Wade into this. Wendy, briefly, you wanted to say.
There's one thing that I don't want to happen from all this, because this issue is going to keep getting hotter and hotter and hotter. I don't want to see young kids fighting because Jesus was black or white.
Right.
I want to see them all come forward and say he loved us all.
Very good point. Corrine, you wanted to say.
Hold on a moment. Us as black people, we need to stop pointing the finger at white people. We need to look at ourselves and see why we collective. We let everybody else, Jews, Koreans, come into our community, control economics of our community, and we can't even open a store in our own community. But we always want to point the finger. Take a look at ourselves.
Caller, you wanted to say briefly.
Yeah, hi. I'm very annoyed over not the point that Jesus would be white or black, but it's just another issue again thrown into the media. I'm the mother of a 4-year-old child, and while shopping one day, he asked, Mommy, is that man black? And I said, yes, he is. And the man practically attacked me and said, that's what's wrong with this white world.
No, the gentleman was wrong. You are quite correct in answering truthfully your son's question, and we trust that you put a positive spin as well on the answer. But wouldn't a black Jesus to be at least occasionally exposed to your young child, help him with his curiosity.
Oh, sure. He's been to a black Santa Claus, and
Very
I live
good.
in a white area, and
Yeah.
that didn't. I mean, he was more excited about.
And I want to point out a good geography.
Dr. Felder commenting.
Yeah, a good geography lesson for us all. You take some people, send one of them to tell them to walk to Berlin, see how long it takes them. Tell them from Jerusalem to Berlin, and then tell them to walk from Jerusalem to Britain. Tell them to walk to Germany, and at the same time tell another person to walk to Africa. That person walking to Africa from Jerusalem will get there many, many days ahead of the others. We fail to realize exactly that Palestine is exactly where it's always been, and it's a tragedy that America and our higher education system continuously uses the politics of race to present distorted information which is worked against black people and for white people. Okay. That's what needs to be looked at carefully.
I think Pope Julius II, back in 1509, had the same agenda that perhaps some of the Catholic ministers had when I was growing up.
Exclusive interview. Officer Ted Brasino was found not guilty in the LA verdict. His first and only interview, next on Ajeane.
Stony the Road We Trod is another work by Dr. Felder. I'm pleased to call your attention once again to Blair Underwood's work titled The Second Coming. More immediately, you should know that tonight, if you're watching us on Monday, tonight Blair stars with
Lou Gossett.
Lou Gossett. They're both in prison. And they look up to discover that Lou's his father, and yes, Blair's his son. This is tonight on NBC, and we will be watching it. Yes?
I'm really sad that this is an issue now because I have 2 grandchildren.
And you think there's enough division, do you?
No, I mean, it's what's in your heart, you know?
Yes, you wanted to say. Briefly, please.
This issue is complex enough.
Right.
And if God is the end-all and be-all, the
Right.
salvation,
Yes.
what difference is his color?
Remember in the earlier workshop, and I'll go through this very quickly, from the University of Michigan, we wanted to find out what the major influence on children. We said 1950, it was home, school, church, peer group, and television. And then we gave you 1980. Home was still #1, peer group in the #2 position, television 3, school dropped down to #4, church last on the list.
And we don't know, but we serve a God of order, so it would just stand to reason that all throughout the animal kingdom, the Almighty Creator decided to make melanin or colored skin the norm. Bears, mice, and the mammalian, canine, equine, bovine, and most other animal kingdoms show us that melaninated beings can produce non-melaninated beings. White comes from black. And that is a simple, observable, irrefutable, natural fact, still observable to this day. And that's okay. Ain't no pride in that. But let's not have denial concerning it either.
As a physician who has worked as a skin specialist for more than 30 years, I have had ample time to compare the skin of white and Negro patients. Apart from the greater abundance of the pigment called melanin in the skin of Negroes, and also the skin of all so-called white people has this same pigment factor in it. The only time anyone's skin is truly white is when pigment is not formed at all, as in the albino. Incidentally, albinos may be born to Negro parents.
Well, if you make the assumption that the human race arose like around the equator and that skin color, dark skin color would be the phenotype, then are you assuming that as people moved outward, there was a mutation, and if you were in the north, it allowed that mutation to live, which is how we got white people?
Yes.
Would that follow?
Yeah.
When ultraviolet sunlight hits our skin, it affects each of us a little differently. Depending on skin color, it'll take only minutes of exposure to turn one person beetroot pink, while another requires hours to experience the slightest change. So what's to account for that difference, and how did our skin come to take on so many different hues to begin with? Whatever the color, our skin tells an epic tale of human intrepidness and adaptability, revealing its variance to be a function of biology. It all centers around melanin, the pigment that gives skin and hair its color. This ingredient comes from skin cells called melanocytes and takes two basic forms. There's eumelanin, which gives rise to a range of brown skin tones as well as black, brown, and blonde hair, and theomelanin, which causes the reddish browns of freckles and red hair. But humans weren't always like this. Our varying skin tones were formed by an evolutionary process driven by the sun. It began some 50,000 years ago when our ancestors migrated north from Africa and into Europe and Asia. These ancient humans lived between the equator and the Tropic of Capricorn, a region saturated by the sun's UV-carrying rays. When skin is exposed to UV for long periods of time, the UV light damages the DNA within our cells, and skin starts to burn. If that damage is severe enough, the cell's mutations can lead to melanoma, a deadly cancer that forms in the skin's melanocytes. Sunscreen as we know it today didn't exist 50,000 years ago. So how did our ancestors cope with this onslaught of UV? The key to survival lay in their own personal sunscreen, manufactured beneath the skin, melanin. The type and amount of melanin in your skin determines whether you'll be more or less protected from the sun. This comes down to the skin's response as sunlight strikes it. When it's exposed to UV light, that triggers special light-sensitive receptors called rhodopsin, which stimulate the production of melanin to shield cells from damage. For light-skinned people, that extra melanin darkens their skin and produces a tan. Over the course of generations, humans living at the sun-saturated latitudes in Africa adapted to have a higher melanin production threshold and more eumelanin, giving skin a darker tone. This built-in sun shield helped protect them from melanoma, likely making them evolutionarily fitter and capable of passing this useful trait on to new generations.
It's never been easier to find out exactly what's in your genes because consumer genetic tests are now a huge business. The industry was worth $70 million in 2015 and is expected to be worth $340 million in 2022. That's a percentage increase of, I don't have math genes. I don't know how big that is. You've probably seen ads for these tests everywhere. There's Ancestry.com, 23andMe, they've got genetic testing for dogs. There's even a company that analyzes your DNA and matches you with wines selected for your unique palate. Oh yes, I'm getting notes of almond, blackcurrant, and yes, total bull. Now, Because of privacy concerns, a few weeks ago, the Baltimore Ravens canceled their scheduled DNA Day, which would have given away free DNA tests to fans before Sunday's game. Classic, normal stadium giveaway. Just like the Troy Aikman bobblehead that tells you if you have type 2 diabetes. The giveaway was postponed because apparently the DNA test privacy policy stated that the company could keep any information obtained for as long as they wanted, and they could share it in any way. Well, I just came to the stadium to get drunk and watch football, but sure, clone me for an Argon farm, I don't care. Woo! Go Ravens! But there's one group that loves DNA testing, and that's racists. Apparently, white nationalists are flocking to genetic tests, but some don't like what they find because often the tests reveal African ancestry. Oh no.
That's a bad thing.
That has got to be tough.
Things.
You got to be tough, man. I mean, you feel for these guys. You almost feel bad for them. Then you remember that they're horrible people, and you just laugh and laugh and laugh. Here they are laughing right now. But I get it. I get it, guys. You pay all this money for a genetic test, and then it upends your whole worldview. But that's not what you wanted at all. Luckily, there's a new company that can help.
How many times has this happened to you? You know you're genetically superior, but one of those genetic testing services tells you you've got traces of non-white ancestry. That's why there's Supreme Genetics, the only DNA testing service that tells white supremacists exactly what they want to hear. Want us to say you're a pure-blooded descendant of Thomas Jefferson, or Napoleon, or Wario the Evil Mario? Sure, fine, whatever you want.
I want to know I'm descended exclusively from white men, no women.
Then Supreme Genetics is the DNA testing service for you. Just swab your cheek with a Q-tip, put it in an envelope, then throw it away. We certainly don't need it. 6 weeks later, we'll send you a report that says you're Robert E. Lee's cousin or something.
My report is just one straight line back to white Jesus.